Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdist Dave, and today I am joined by all these nerds, these wonderful nerds, and we're going to be playing some Quest RPG with Ingest Quest. We're revisiting that wonderful world that Doug created and campaign setting Doug created for us as our guide. So, with that, I'm just going to hand it over to you, Doug, and you can explain it however you like. It's your show today.
All right, so yeah, it is a fantasy-esque mashups of space and culinary exploration. And the Ingest Quest crew, who you got to know in our last leg of our campaign, is away, but it is time for the residents of Dr. Christopher's Home for Wayward Monsters to play. As Halloween approaches, the time for eerie treats and creepy tricks is nigh, and your story tonight begins in the cobweb-draped study of Dr. Christopher's mansion, a macabre chamber filled with all manner of bizarre and eerie relics and antiques. There's jars with an eyeball that sort of follows you around the room, and are, just like old ancient parchments and scrolls on little sitting tables, and with quills and ink. There's a fireplace with two chairs facing it and a big desk across the way, and all the walls have like hanging tapestries featuring just like macabre and creepy art, but tasteful and kind of colorful. But if you like look close, there's like, might be like a pastoral scene, but like the wolves in it are like chasing down somebody to like eat them and things like that. The good doctor, along with his adventuresome companions, are off exploring the culinary mysteries of the Crystal Sphere verse. William, who is the mansion's butler, is going about his usual routine in the calm quiet of the mansion, keeping the many rooms, chambers, and halls at the perfect balance of dignified and disturbing. Satisfied with his work in the study, William, you are about to make your way to the bar lounge when a flicker of light catches your eye. The flicker is coming from behind one of the large tapestries hanging from the ceiling along each wall. And that is where our story begins.
So with a jump of startlement, he'll look to the light and towards the disturbance and try to see exactly what's going on.
Sure. So where like two large panels of the tapestry meet, that's where you can kind of see just like a flicker, and you sort of like peek behind there, which you normally don't do. And on the wall behind is just a large black and white diagram, like like on parchment, like affixed to the wall. And it's just covered in eldritch symbols and all kinds of like formulae. There's a bunch of like circular shapes. All of it. I'm talking, it's like 10 feet by like 20 feet. It's huge. There's a bunch of circular shapes with winding and curved lines connecting all between them, and some of them are like dotted and some are straight and things like that. The diagram also has a great number of notations upon it, written in Dr. Christopher's eloquent style. The flickering comes from what looks like a depiction of a humanoidish face that is, in the same, it looks like it's part of, the map, except like where the eyes and mouth are, it looks like there's like firelight flickering behind them. And it's sort of like slowly moving along the surface of the diagram, following one of the curving lines.
No, I'm quite certain that you don't belong here. You were not here the last time I cleaned this rug. Do be on with yourself.
The flames behind the eyes sort of like flash and out, even like almost look like it comes out of the painting a little bit at this admonition of it. And you almost think you hear like maybe like a very faint cackling in the back. It's just esoterically somewhere, but the thing just continues. Like you actually watch it for a moment and you're like,
oh no,
satisfied. And then as you go to turn, it's like
when it flares up, like at my admonishment again, he'll literally just kind of jump back, and he'll begin looking around to see if there's anyone else about the house that might have a clue as to what this is and why it's in our house.
Sure. Well, you're generally sort of aware where everybody is because, in the back, Williams, for a large part, just endlessly cleaning the house, and, he knows where people tend to congregate. That Lee is in the entertainment room, as usual. Wilfred is in the powder room currently, where he just often is just like living in a cloud of Axe body spray, and just it's very funky. So in some regards, you're glad that he tends to stick there. You don't ever go down to his room, which is it's like a big flooded and fetid chamber in the east wing of the mansion. That's just because it's sort of like a sunken lounge, but it's just like all swampy now. And Bethany, of course, is in her basement oceanic chamber.
Well, then it sounds like Lee would be the perfect one to reach out to, as they are closest and in a place that I would actually go.
Sure. So Lee, what are you up to when Wilfred comes into the entertainment?
So Wilfred, you find Lee like curled up on the couch with like one foot sort of like propped up in the knee, like just right next to their head. And like the longer arm is wrapped around it, and the other one is like sitting there with the bowl of popcorn in front of them on the coffee table. And they're just like watching Love Island or something like that. Like just, completely absorbed, doesn't even notice you walk in.
So you also know that Sherbert West is in the house, but all the other people from the ship are out on Harwash.
So William will give a polite little cough. See if Lee responds.
Did you want some popcorn?
No, I do beg your pardon. But there seems to be an issue in the study. I would like a second opinion if you are not too terribly busy.
Quiet for a second, mumbling something that distinctly sounds like a what a drag before like getting up and like, again, one arm is like longer than the other and they just sort of like toddle over to you. So what's going on? Is it like a leak or something?
No, there appears to be some strange. It's much more of a visual description. So if you aren't too terribly busy, I could show you. It's just a scant couple rooms away.
So Lee gets their phone out and plugs a couple numbers in, sets the thing that's on the TV right now to record so they can go back and watch it later, and then nods. All right, let's go.
Takes you into the study, moves, the drapes out of the way, and this is what kind of caught my attention. And I'm fairly certain that the last time I cleaned earlier today, it was not here, and now it is. And those flames are moving, and that's not good.
Record.
So as you're recording, your device sort of like, has suggestions as well for like what it's looking at, and you see like the results of that are little like articles and things about like, oh, that's a symbol representing Stingy Jack, and you look more into it, and Stingy Jack is known as a selfish and deceitful spirit in the spirit world, and every year Stingy Jack makes his rounds all throughout the spirit realm, calling on occultists to appease his just selfish hungers and so forth.
Like Stingy Jack, like the one who had the first jack-o'-lantern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're asking me like as the guide, yes.
So Lee is gonna be like, oh, this guy's totally famous, and I feel like almost like Christopher should have warned us that he took this one in. Yeah, this is a cryptid, man.
Oh. Yeah, in fact, over time, Stingy Jack's journey has become something of a tradition amongst the ghosts, ghouls, and other creepy monsters who follow him throughout this long night before returning to their resting places. And at each stop, this parade of monsters expects to be given treats. But those who refuse will fall victim to whatever tricks the hungry spirits choose to play upon them.
So is this a new resident of the manor, or is this something that's merely visiting without permission?
Well, I mean, you can't assume that it came in without permission, because like how many of us did Christopher just sort of invite in without warning anybody?
Well, unfortunately, the master's not about the house. And I do believe that, certain protocols should be kind of analyzed or followed before we go forth.
You're gonna make us investigate this, aren't you?
I do think it warrants that. I mean, if it's a possible danger to our dwelling, we probably should.
All right, I've got dibs on going to get Bethany. And Lee just starts to walk off before this even becomes a conversation.
Okay.
So
And is just going to go retrieve Bethany.
Sure. So I'll get to you in a moment, Lee and Bethany, but Wilfred, William, as you're left in the study there for a moment, make a D20 roll.
I can do that. That is an 8.
Tough choice, huh? So yeah, as you're sort of like pondering this for a moment and thinking on what you just learned from Lee, let's see, you have a tough choice. Forget about that. I haven't played this game in a while.
Come on, every tough choice is a civilization will end.
Okay, I'm gonna say you. I'm just gonna say it was more of just like a pass fail thing. So I'm just gonna say that was a success because it is a success. With it, that's kind of why I was running into trouble. So you're sort of pondering it, and you come to realize like it's not a map of the house, and it's a map of like all of space, and as you realize that and sort of like try to figure out where you are, you see that you're like following the little path, and you see that there's another icon of like a skull with these like flowers crown around it that represents the mansion. That is a distance from that, but you can kind of see the path, and you would guess that it would probably be only a few hours until like at the rate that thing is going.
So, oh dear, if this is accurate based on how fast this thing is moving and what could possibly be a representation of the mansion, that we should not tarry, and I'll begin making my way to Swampland.
Okay.
At least towards the door.
All right. So Lee, you descend down to the steps, which it's the same like marble and opulence as the rest of the mansion as the stairway starts to go down, but then it like starts to give way to just like rocky, carved out rock wall, which just ends on into relative darkness. There's like an ambient light, but it's basically like a black sand beach with just an ocean as far as you can tell, like an underground ocean. And you know that this is where Bethany resides. What is Bethany up to when Lee descends into her chamber?
So Bethany has a tiny little TV propped up, and it's like the old like cubic ones with the bunny ears, and she's currently adjusting the antennas trying to get her favorite Halloween murder mysteries to come in the right frequency.
Okay.
Oh dear, this is not working out well.
You need some help?
Oh, you're just the perfect person to help me, actually. Come on, dear. I have a spot of tea for you as well. Just a moment and I'll retrieve it. And her eye and tentacle just sort of submerge, and you're left at the TV for a second.
Well, that's perfectly fine by Lee. Their technology senses tingling. They're just gonna like sit down and immediately start messing with it. They've already got like 3 different hypothesized to what's going wrong.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to get the reception on it like no problem. It's perfect, and it is a classic Halloween special that is tuned in.
Gonna like check the VCR, see if there's a tape in there that I can start it recording on, because I know I'm gonna have to interrupt this.
Mm-hmm.
And Bethany will come back up, and she has like a whole little tea set and everything. And one of her many tentacles offers you a teacup as the other one pours the tea into it.
Thank
I haven't
you.
gotten to the cookies.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're gonna get to the cookies. Apparently, we've got some cryptid phenomena going on upstairs, but I'm actually kind of okay with it this time because uh evidence points to it possibly being Stingy Jack, which I mean, he's not been relevant in a really long time, but relevant enough that I'm curious anyway. I got your mystery recording on the VCR.
Oh, thank you. You are a delight. Um, who's Stingy Jack and why are we okay with stingy people?
Well, he's kind of famous for being sort of a brat. The legend goes that he cleverly ensnared the devil and made him promise not to take him into hell, but then he had sinned so much that God wouldn't let him into heaven. So he just sort of like wandered the earth with a gourd with a candle in it, and that's why we do jack-o'-lanterns, basically.
Oh, well, that's absolutely interesting. I didn't know that. I suppose I'll meet you upstairs then.
Yep.
Okay, and we'll cut over to William, who you almost hesitate to go because it's just that gross combo of just like swamp smell, but also like just clouds of Axe body spray mixing as you like long before you actually get to the carpet is all like damp, like so when your werewolf paws step on it, it's like up to there. But where does he find Wilfred up to as he enters your area?
Wilfred is sitting on a log in his swamp living room, with his feet, his feet up in front of him, is basically like his knees towards his chest, or at least where you imagine his chest would be, because really just looks like a bunch of swamp vegetation, but sticking out from all that swamp vegetation. Think Cousin It, if Cousin It was just made of vines and vegetation. You see a red pair of Chuck Taylors sticking out, and his hands sticking out, trying to clean them. He's always trying to keep them clean, but it's really hard in the swamp. He's got several cans of Axe body spray, sitting on the log next to him. Every once in a while, he just douses himself with it. When he looks up and he sees, hears the squelching of William across the carpet, and he looks up. William, buddy, what's going on? How are you? It's been a long time since you visited me here. Can I get you something to eat, something to drink? How about a brewski?
So you can kind of tell that there's a bit of the werewolf holding his breath and trying to say as much as possible in as few syllables as possible. There's a problem upstairs. Could certainly use help.
Sure, I'd love to be of service and help you guys out. Let's go do it. What's the problem?
So he just kind of like waves you along, and once you kind of get out of the the squelchy ground, he kind of looks back and it's like, well, there's a disturbance that appeared within the study upon the wall. Lee says that it has something to do with a cryptid called Stingy Jack, some selfish manifestation of Halloween, but it looks like it is heading in the direction of the manor. If I have interpreted the map correctly, we have but a scant few hours.
So what you're telling me is we're having company, and as soon as Wilfred crosses from the from the carpet to the floor, like he's kind of preceded by this squelching sound when he walks, but once he hits the hardwood floors, there's also a squeak that gets added from the rubber of the Chuck Taylors, which once that begins, he kind of like twists his ankles as he walks, just to kind of like accentuate it a little bit and really make them squeak.
Sure. And it's echoing throughout the place. And you actually hear from down the hall in the library, Dr. West shout, he's like, "Would you please cut out that racket? I'm trying to study in here."
Doctor, how you doing? Why don't you come hang out with us? We miss you.
And you hear like a big, like a sound of like a heavy tome slamming shut, and he emerges from the library carrying like the Necronom under his arm, and he's like, might as well, I can't get anything done with all of you. This
How you
racket.
doing, Doc? How's your studying going? I see you're still at it.
I
Some
am.
finger
I'm
guns.
unlocking all the mysteries of the Necronom. Your Dr. Christopher has been very kind to let me study it.
Yeah, Christopher's the best.
He is quite an excellent man. What do you know about the being called Stingy Jack?
He kind of like shudders and is just like, oh, he's just an awful, awful spirit. And he sort of like flips through the Necronom a little bit and shows you like the entry of him. It's got like a woodcut picture of just a revolting looking like ugly man with a, representing carrying like a turnip that looks like it has fire in it and stuff. And
he certainly looks
just,
like one. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
He certainly looks like one who would create a mess, and that's certainly no good.
It's such a mess that they didn't want him in either heaven or hell. That's why he just travels the spirit lanes, demanding sustenance. And he's like, it's kind of caught on. It's a bit kitschy, but not when he shows up at your door. And he's like, sort of like clutches the book closer, and he's like, wait a minute, he's like, what day is it?
I would imagine that William would know the day.
Yeah. It's Halloween, and he's just sort of like he groans.
But of course it's Halloween night.
Just like, and our hosts left us high and dry. And he sort of like looks over towards the door. So you guys have just sort of been like walking along the hall, and you see above the main entrance to the outside, there's like it looks like one of those elevator, floor indicators with like a planchette and the whatever symbols there are, but they're not numbers. They're like just eldritch symbols on it.
Is it pointing to anyone in particular at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, you actually, I don't know. Do you think William, I don't think he would be too curious about, like to him, it's like outside is not his concern. So
yeah, no worries.
It is pointing at one. I mean, it's always on one, but you don't really even know what they mean.
Sure.
You do know that like when Dr. Christopher leaves, he often does a gesture and the thing will move to different ones. So it must have something to do with coming and going. You probably know that.
Do you think we'll get many trick-or-treaters this year?
Well, I doubt trick-or-treaters are gonna come to the mansion. The door is typically for just the master. And whoever he deems worthy to come in.
Dr. Sherbert sort of like chuckles. He's like, yes, that's what he'd like you to think. He's like, there are pathways throughout all these realms connecting them. He's like, I believe one of them, even in this house, led to some sort of elven afterlife. He's like, and he sort of like tightens his hold on the book, and he's like, I'm sure there's other portals and pathways in here as well. But yeah, like I said, you're walking and talking, and around this time you would probably all gather. Where do you think everybody would naturally sort of gather? There's several large rooms. There's like
I would be taking the doctor and Wilfred to the study to show them, what I had found.
Makes
total
likewise sense. Yeah. So yeah, you all end up in there, and Bethany actually being I don't know if we've described things to the audience if they're watching, but Bethany is a full-size Kraken, like not a Kraken, the Kraken of legend. She's been released and destroyed civilizations, but because she's so large and many tentacled and eye-stalked, she can sort of just pop up anywhere. So Bethany's presence in the study is you can have appendages coming out of cupboards or whatever you like to interact. William is a werewolf, except when he's in human form, he's invisible. And Lee is sort of a patchwork person, and Wilfred's just the swamp creature. So, and Dr. Sherbert West is just a scrawny sort of nerd culinary wizard necromancer. But yeah, you are all in there, and you see, behind the tapestry now, like the thing has moved a little bit further.
So I would point out, what I had surmised after Lee had left to go get Bethany, just so that
Sure.
everybody all has the same amount of information.
Yeah, you know, we all heard.
Okay. Bethany has an eye stalk sticking out of a desk drawer, and then there's a tentacle coming out of like a little cabinet, and she sort of pokes it and she's like, what's going on with this?
Dr. West would be like, well, clearly Dr. Christopher is an extensive diagram of the spirit world here, and it looks like it's sort of a stingy jack tracker, or perhaps, and he like peers, and actually he sort of like looks over the map and he's like, I can't understand his crib notes. Who knows what other secrets lie in here?
I'm quite sure this was not here earlier. I'm quite dutiful when it comes to cleaning. I mean, unless it was
That's true.
Unless it was for the the time earlier where I was having a brief respite in the closet.
Yeah, you sure are pretty dutiful. Hey, what happens when we touch it? And I touch it.
It just feels like paper, but it like the little the the circles and the stingy jack thing almost feel like paper cutouts, except like you can't pull them off or bend them. They just have that like construction paper feel to them. So you can kind of like, you can touch it, but you can't manipulate it. It's just gonna.
Oh yeah, like I put my face right up against like to the wall, right? So it's like right in my eye level, and I'm looking. Wow, this is really neat.
Between the paper, like the face and the parchment, there actually is a bit of space, and you can see that there's just like a little ball of flame that just appears to be like flickering, causing that light to shine through the eyes.
Oh, I reach into my many vines and pull out a can of Axe body spray, and I hold it, and
it like flares up like a little fireball and turns blue for a moment. And it kind of smells like a combination of Axe and like burnt turnips. I don't know what that smells
like. It doesn't burn the map, doesn't?
No, there appears to be no mark upon it. It doesn't.
This is the notice that we're about to have company. Yeah.
That is my reasoning.
And like this company is gonna come expecting like treats.
You know more about the myth than I. I'm not terribly pleased with having someone selfish arriving.
I'm just saying it's probably a good idea to make some treats.
maybe we should put out some candy. Our first trick-or-treater, and they're famous.
Right? And I'm like plugging all sorts of stuff into my phone, like just speed typing, looking up recipes for like.
Sure. Dr. West points out that he's like, we're going to have a lot more than one visitor. He's like, there's over the centuries, many ghosts have come to follow this tradition. It's like, I think we could be expecting quite a crowd, especially for a fancy digs like this. It's probably the best stop on the route. But Lee, you're looking up things to do. You do find that the most popular Halloween treat for these hungry spirits is pizzelles. They just seem to love pizzelles, which are sort of a waffle cookie made of flour, eggs, sugar, and butter, and then whatever flavoring. Actually, the flavoring that hungry ghosts in particular prefer is star anise, which is a really potent flavor.
I'm gonna like fling the recipe to the TV in the kitchen.
Okay. You're able to do that?
So I've got like the ingredient list and everything all set up in the kitchen where we can all see it. But I think this is gonna be a winner.
What about if we're having so many guests? Maybe we should have a Halloween party. We've never had a Halloween party at the mansion.
That was what I was going to suggest. If we need to make sure that this person is entertained and the guests are along, we would not want to allow our master to have a poor reputation.
And we all know 100% he'd be totally fine with that.
Are you asking me? Yes, he would.
We need
Or
to
actually, you tell
decorate.
me, Stephen. Would he? Is your character?
Oh yeah.
We
Oh,
need
yeah,
to
he
decorate,
absolutely
and I want to begin getting decorations out and setting them up.
Okay. Is there anything in particular, like special? Do you want to use an ability or any particular thing you want to do?
Well, I'm probably
Anywhere
not
you want to
using any
decorate?
abilities, but
Sure.
like I'm probably hanging skeletons, and knowing Dr. Christopher's house, they're like actual skeletons. There's
Oh,
no
100%.
like, like there's probably
They're not even all
actually like
human.
stuffed bats and stuff that are around here, and all
There's
kinds
real
of creepy
bats.
stuff. Real
There's
bats.
trained bats that'll just like you could probably get them to just like sit still and like hang a line, and they would just all hang from it if you want. Go crazy.
So that's essentially what I want to do.
Okay. Let's see.
So
Will,
before,
oh, go ahead.
before people begin moving about what they're going to do, I'm going to say that, if we're going to get all of this done in short order, perhaps we should do so with a bit of haste. And
Okay.
I will howl, imbuing up to 6 nearby creatures with haste. For the next hours, creatures affected by this spell can outrun any other creatures traveling by foot.
Wow. Next
Ooh.
hour. That's awesome.
So
Like just big shiver, and it's like,
Mhm.
it's always rad when you do that.
Yeah, it's like the montage in like an 80s movie. Like everybody's feeling good and doing all this stuff. Stephen, does Dr. Christopher have any sort of like unusual things that might be affected by that haste? Is there any other critter, like, maybe not these sort of entities, but just like little critters or animated things or?
Well, I assume there's probably a half dozen or more spiders in any given corner if you lift something up.
all right, well, I would hit the 5 of us, and then if there's something else around, it'll.
Oh yeah, there's just like things in the walls and stuff.
Well, it'll
Like,
be one thing. So
Like I imagine Christopher keeps spiders around in order, like purposefully to make webs on things. Like the
Oh, yes.
cobwebs are like he wants that. He invites
Oh
it.
yes.
Cool.
When he dusts the furniture, he throws dust on the furniture.
That's awesome. Lee, Lee's a snacker, right? Too, like, does Lee like to snack when she's?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're probably most familiar with the kitchen, and you know that Dr. Christopher actually has like an antique Pitzel iron, which I don't know if you know, but it sort of looks like it's like on a hinge. It'll be like the Pitzel shape with a hinge.
They look like waffle makers almost.
Yeah. But like his is like an antique hand one that's from way back and probably some strange eldritch planet. And usually those kind of old ones often have like a family crest or some kind of imprint. What do you think is on Dr. Christopher? Like Dr. Christopher's iron looks like ancient sort of antique magical relic Pitzel iron. Like what will the picture that it'll make on the waffles? What do you think it is?
it's got to be skulls.
Like
Yeah.
I just assumed this was a Steven question.
Oh, I thought that was a you question.
Yeah, well, Stephen, you can describe
Robin.
it, Brian. I was just sort of leaving it open.
Robin, go for it. Tell us what this is about.
Oh geez. Yeah, I mean, like there's probably definitely a skull involved, but I imagine it's a very like
Doesn't have to be a human skull.
classy skull,
Sure. The classiest.
like
Works.
regal, as
Work
it were.
subtly into the design.
What is it?
Work subtly into the design.
Oh yeah, totally. Like you have to be looking at it for a minute to really pick it out.
What
Like you
if
have to hold the Pitzel at a right angle.
what
and,
if
like,
it's
then
magic and
it's
every
like a-
time you make one it changes between like the skull motif,
Oh,
the
that's
bat,
so cool.
a spider, like just a different creepy thing every time.
How about that? I'll build on that. It's like if you look at it from this way, it looks like a skull, but if you turn it that way, like the ridge, because it's a waffle, so like the inside edges of that one looks like a bat, but if you like turn it that way, it looks like a spider and stuff like that. But it's just kind of magical in that way.
Like dancing around the kitchen
Yeah.
and mixing up the batter, and I'm just like, Alexa, play Panic at the Disco.
Well, you would be, except like you get out all this flour and you kind of figure, oh yeah, it's going to be a lot. We need this, and you fill up. Of course, he has like industrial sized baking thing. That's his jam. And then you open the pantry and there is nothing else. There are no eggs, sugar, butter, or star anise, or anything that you would need.
West.
You, though, as this sort of, you're Lee's a bit crestfallen. You do remember recently watching a documentary about the elemental plane of sugar and the dangerous sugar storms that often rage across the plane, followed by sugar chasers. And what would you like to do from there?
Oh, you can just like see this is a terrible idea, but I'm gonna do it anyway on their face for a second there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna like get on my phone and like turn the camera on and project my face on like all the screens in the house and be like, guys, we've got a problem.
Okay.
So we're like out of everything and we need to do some kind of mystical shopping trip pronto, and I've got an idea to get some sugar. And so I'm gonna like outline the thing that just popped into my head.
Sure.
And be like, if you're on board with this, meet me in the kitchen. Also, I need someone to meet me in the kitchen that knows how to open portals west. Not mentioning any names.
As you're all doing that, I'll give you these little tidbits for you to work with. Bethany, you're aware of a deep crevasse in your underground ocean, which is home to the froghemoth, a massive creature capable of laying thousands of eggs in a single clutch. And it is that monks produce an exquisite cheese using catoblepis cream.
Oh no.
And the flooded, fetid East Wing where you reside still shares a connection with that place if you're willing to endure the stench. And Dr. Sherbet would tell you that his growing mastery of the Necronomicon leads him to suggest that star anise, the powerful and potent flavor, is only obtainable by bargaining with a sentient star named Elysium. There's plenty of flour in the mansion, but the pizza won't have any flavor or be able to be made without it. So now you're out in the kitchen.
So is this a divide and conquer type scenario, and every man for themselves, or do we jump from thing to thing to thing, knowing we have very little time?
Well, I feel like with haste, we could accomplish this. Also, just like how, and you see Bethany just sort of looks down with this eye stalk that has this beautiful purple mascara and false eyelashes. And she looks down at the drawer where her eye stalk is coming from. She's like, I can do portals and I can get us places. That's not difficult to do. So
Right,
wherever
Bethany.
we can be. Also, there is a froghemoth in the reservoir in a crevasse downstairs in the basement, and we could absolutely get a bunch of eggs from there.
Halloween
speed run, let's go.
All right, I'll meet all of you down there. And ice stalk goes in the drawer and it shuts.
Are we going to have to go in the water?
Sounds like it.
Well, I mean, he said crevasse. He didn't say whether it was she didn't say whether it was submerged or not.
But she didn't. You would have to go through water to get there.
But she did say froghemoth. Froghemoths are quite a aquatic style creature, if I do remember the stories quite correctly.
Oh, that's right. You have to breathe, don't you?
It's breathing is one thing, but more about the mess. But he continues walking forward.
I lean into Lee. I think William's a little self-conscious about the smell of wet fur.
Oh. Yeah, I keep forgetting you guys can smell things.
But that's okay. I got him covered. I can share some of my Axe body spray with him.
Huh. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You should definitely do it.
While you guys, Dr. Schubert will remain in the kitchen and start like calculating, like the recipe you had, like you're gonna have to make a lot. So he's like figuring out how much and all that. So yeah, you're all down on this black sand beach. And this sort of, I guess, would be like considered a trial in game terms of like, your goal is to move through a vast body of water, going underwater at one point, and stealing a clutch of eggs from a froghemoth. How would you like to go about doing that?
All right. So we definitely need to distract the froghemoth because it's not going to be okay with us just taking some eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do have a couple things that I might be able to do. So do we have an idea of where this thing is supposed to be?
Yeah, Bethany would know, of course, that she can travel all throughout the ocean. And the froghemoth is sort of like something, it's sort of like a pet project for Dr. Christopher, pun intended, but like it's just too feral to bring into the house. So it's like kind of a resident, but it's so, it's like it can't easily get out of there, and Bethany's in the way if it acts up too.
So for the sake of abilities, would this count as an animal?
I would say, yeah, sure.
Track allows you to pick up the trail of an animal of your choice.
Oh, yeah.
If there are no tracks nearby, as long as there's no environment.
Yeah, that's it. It's appropriate for sure.
I will totally use my track ability.
Okay.
And try to find out where it's supposed to be.
Okay. How will Wilfred and Bethany contribute to this trial?
Okay. So I think Bethany is going to contribute by having those who are not inclined to swim, which is probably everyone except for Wilfred, to ride on her so she can get them there very quickly.
All right.
On her massive body of fins and tentacles and eyes, and there are like many eyes. There are so many eyes, and all of them are made up with false eyelashes.
Everyone?
All of them.
All right. And how about Wilfred?
Wilfred is going to try and distract the froghemoth.
Okay. So
with his brightly colored red Chuck Towers. It'll be like a bull with the cape, but instead he uses his sneakers.
Okay. So I believe Ted is the only one who uses an ability, so I'm gonna count this.
Actually, I am. Because if the distraction is being provided already, the best thing that I can do is use the blink ability to get in there, nab some eggs, and then blink back out again.
Okay.
Totally want to do a shout out for that guy. Axe body spray, # not sponsored.
Yeah. Come on, Axe body spray. Tony Stark used it, and so does our made up characters in our game.
It's actually not the body spray like you would think. It's what happens when you hit a creature with axe. You get axe body sprayed on you.
So it just smells like viscera.
Yes.
That's a different twist. It puts things in a whole new light. Okay, and then so Wilfred and Bethany then to roll to see how your contributions to this trial. But before then, William, despite like the seawater stench, and you don't like this being in this water, and you're riding on Bethany's body and stuff, you are able to like pick up like a distinctly like unusual scent and track it even through like the water, because your senses are just that honed. You got wolf.
Every once in a while, he'll like open his mouth and like taste the air, but he's trying desperately not only to not give in to the primal aspect, but also to be seen looking like a canine to his fellow housemates.
Yeah, and there are several of your senses are engaged. Like your sharp eyes, you actually start to pick up like a sliminess to the water as you get closer. It's like becomes just thicker, and you can almost like taste like this sharp, acrid like bite to the air. But yeah, you're guiding Bethany skillfully through this. And all right, so would you let's have Bethany roll first, since that would be the first thing that happened.
Okay. As she's swimming, she's like, William, I really hope I'm not infringing on your pride at all, but I know that your doggy paddle is excellent, but also we need to make even more haste than that can accomplish.
No problems whatsoever. Dear Bethany.
I got a 15 on these pretty nerdarchy dice.
Success. Okay, so yeah, you're able to navigate the water. You don't, she's expert swimmer, of course, and everything. You sort of like do it stealthily, I guess, as far as you could in the water, and also with haste. You just all your fins work in unison to just push your massive form through the water, and you do with William's help guiding you. You get to like above where this crevasse is, and you know that like you can't see it. You could see it, Bethany, and it's just like in the ocean floor below, and it just travels underwater a bit, and then it comes up in like where the froghemoth layers. And then what does Blink do exactly, Lee?
Basically I just disappear from the place I am and show back up in somewhere that I can see.
Okay.
But like I am imagining this in my head being this really nonchalant like duck behind another object and coming out behind like the object that I intend in this very Scooby-Doo sort of way.
Of course. That's and Wilfred, what are you doing to distract the froghemoth? So yeah, as you come up, Bethany, you can sort of like be with them via tentacles and eyes because she can have it through this crevice.
So,
William, do you go as well, or just you two go? Lee and Wilfred. You don't have to.
I would prefer to stay back.
Yeah, you can, and just stay above the water in Bethany. So yeah, you two do manage to make it down this crevasse. It's dark, but you get there, and you come up, and it's just like a slime-covered cave.
Is it too dark to see?
They're monsters, so I just assume they can see in the dark.
Okay.
To stalk their human prey.
I had a solution if needed.
Well, go ahead if you want to throw something in
there. So I can, if I honestly feel that where they're going is possibly magically dark.
It could be. You don't know anything about it, so yeah, sure.
I'll give a rumble in my throat, and you'll you get the spirit of the cat. For the next hour, affected creatures gain the ability to see things nearby in complete darkness, as if they were in a dimly lit room.
Oh, okay. That actually is apropos then. So yeah, as you guys sort of like come up SEAL Team 6 style in this, it's just like a slime covered chamber. And you can see, like I said, you can see in the dark, it is very dark in here. And there's just like a humongous form against the back wall that's just like probably slumbering. You like sit there a moment and you can see that it's just breathing. But because of that benefit from William also, you can see that amongst the floor of this thing, which has like just thousands of these pods of eggs, kind of like in like Alien or Prometheus or whatever. I'm sure you can imagine just like eggs all over, right? But amongst them are like several ropey, thick, muscly tentacles that you do actually notice are kind of like moving along them that are attached to this froghemoth. They're like it's probing tentacles. So that's where you're sort of like in the water. You just notice that there's just as many eggs as you need, and Wilfred's going to distract the thing while Lee blinks in and takes it with you. How are you going to distract it?
So when Wilfred enters the water, as the water goes higher up on him, he kind of just like spreads out more and more until he's just this mass of floating vegetation on top of the water with a pair of Chuck Tallers just below the surface. And he begins undulating to follow Bethany. And because he's hasted, it's like super fast. And then once we get into the crevasse where the froghemoth is, I want to kind of like undulate around the froghemoth, dangling my Chuck Tallers and dazzling with the bright redness.
Okay. Make a roll. See how this goes.
That's a 10.
Tough choice. You can distract him enough for Lee, who you see just literally like Robin described, just Scooby-Doo style, like grabbing these eggs, and you can actually see like them going away. They're depleting. And she will remain distracted, but you can either have it notice you. Well, I'll say that's your tough choice. You can have it either notice you like actively, like wake it up, or notice that Lee is down there blinking.
Oh no, it definitely notices me. I mean, I think that was kind of the point anyway.
Sure. All right, well, it's groggy and everything, and it's going to just try to swat you with one of its ropey appendages. And that is a success. So yeah, it actually does kind of like you were bouncing around the air, you said? Like kind of floating around? Or just,
floating around in the water.
Yeah, in its face. It does like slap out at you. It doesn't manage to wrap around you because you're just like hard to pin down, but you do take 2 points of damage as it just like slaps down on you, sensing some.
I shake a viney tendril at it.
Is there and Lee, as you're sort of blinking in and out, you see that happen. So is there anything particular you guys would like to do in response to that? It's starting to sort of, well, yeah, we'll just go from there. Basically, you get like it was trying to squash the moving thing. So what it does next is dependent on what you guys do next. But Lee, its attention is on Wilfred.
Well, if we've got enough eggs, it's probably a good idea to try and like get out of here. So can I like blink over and grab Wilfred?
Make a roll to see how many eggs you've managed to get.
Okay. No, I wanted wizard's dice, not wiki dot. So I got 14.
You do have enough eggs, and you are starting to make your way over to Wilfred, who was, who was in range. So in a turn-based situation, it's like you would get that's your dude. Like you get the last bit of eggs that you need and go to blink over there. And then I will say it is Wilfred's turn. To Ray, you have just been smacked by this thing, and that's what you know. Do you like lay still? Do you get up and still move? It's up to you.
Yeah, is the area in the crevice? Is it full of water? Is it underwater?
Yeah. It's like you went through a tunnel and came up into like a dry chamber or a slimy one, but there's air here and stuff. And it's pretty. The looking at it now, it's like maybe it could squeeze through there, but it looks like it's a pretty big creature. For at least the way you came in.
Yeah. So if it looks like Lee has gathered up enough eggs, I'll basically just try and flee back out the way we came.
Okay. I would say, yeah, I mean, devoting the rest of your thing from that, and, I don't want to make this the whole adventure. You manage to get the eggs that you need. You make it back to Bethany and William, a little worse for wear, but you just, what do you have them in? Like they're fish eggs, but for the purposes of this quest, they're appropriate eggs. You just have like a big sack that you put them in.
Yeah, I basically like stuffed them in my hoodie.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, you have more than more than you might even need, and you're able to make it back to the shore.
I love the image of Lee just like having this hoodie stuffed full of eggs, like they were just shoplifting.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of was.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what is a pit cell that's made of froghemoth eggs and catablepus milk. What is that gonna taste like?
Ooh.
No, you don't really want to know that.
Yeah. Well, apparently hungry spirits like them.
It's one of those like Halloween type ingredients that you add in that works basically the same as the regular ingredients, but it gives it like a weird color or something.
Yeah. Ghosts have strange tastes.
I'm gonna like drop this stuff off in the kitchen and come back.
Sure. All right, so you have trial number 1 done. You've got your eggs. There's sugar, cream, and star anise left to be gathered.
You two are amazing. What should we get next?
Well, didn't you say we needed that milk from the weird death cow?
Oh, where do we find one?
I know exactly where to find one. We can go right through my room. I have a portal back to my old swamp home.
Oh,
Yeah.
how lovely.
I mean, you could just be living in a regular room and go to a swamp when you want, but you brought a swamp here as well?
Yes, it's great, isn't it?
No.
Well, Dr.
you-
Christopher
you-
would disagree.
You had heretofore not really understood that, William, but yeah, it's just like if you walk far enough, you'll just be where he came from.
William, I know this makes you very uncomfortable. If it will help you along the way and give you some courage, and she pulls out from one of the drawers this box and shakes it, and it says William Snacks on it.
Oh, that's hysterical. Nice reference there, Stephen.
Yeah, so Wilfred, it would not be a big deal for you to lead them, just, and you walk for what seems like a while, like it just, and then like after a while, it's like the walls of the room are gone and you're just like in a swamp. And it's very quiet and it's very, if you thought Wilfred had a stench to him, it's like that was just lingering from what was in this place. Like that was just what stuck to him. But yeah, it's just a swampy thing. And William, this is the kind of swamps where catoblepuses live, and wild ones anyway, which can be milked under dangerous circumstances. But there also is like a temple of these monks that you could, they have like what you call domesticated ones that they probably store vast amounts of it. So it's up to you. You try to find a wild one, or
we could go find a wild catoblepus and try and milk it. Or we can go visit the monks.
Well, if you want it fresher, I might be able to help. I could create a dimensional rift like I do to get my eye stalks and tentacles throughout the house, and just make it underneath it and milk it gently as one of you distract it.
Yes, distract the death cow.
There's a reason why they call it a death cow. If you look it in the eyes and meet its gaze, you die.
In all fairness, some of us
this.
are already dead.
I have totally got this. My phone is in an OtterBox. Like, don't even worry about it. And I'm gonna like pull up one of those really addictive cat videos and like hook my phone up with like some rope and like toss it over a branch to like dangle it in front of the cow.
Yeah, you do sort of use it as a lure, and it's not too long before several of them sort of like plaid through the swamp, and just sort of like gather around your device watching cat videos that are entranced by that. Bethany was right. Lee technically is sort of an undead being, so you're not really sure. Their gaze is said to slay the living, and
I mean, I'm not sure I ever was alive in the first place. I'm kind of a hodgepodge of like different people that was animated by electricity. So like,
yeah, Lee is uniquely their own person.
So I don't know how this works, so I'm going to ask.
Sure.
By lore, if I turn into my human form, I'm invisible.
You're right.
I didn't select that power, so
No, but you have it.
Okay.
That's just a trait of being William.
So
And werewolves.
So I'm gonna just begin to like step off of the tentacles, and you watch as the fur just begins to recede and as the fur disappears off of William, when it's gone, so is he.
Oh,
And
I wonder what he's doing.
I will sneak my way over to these death cows, praying
Sure.
I don't get stampeded upon.
Are
I
you
always
zhuzhing it
forget
up
that he
with
can
anything?
do that.
What was that?
Are you like zhuzhing it up with anything, or you just go, oh, it is 9 o'clock, by the way. I don't, not many people have used adventure points, but it is an Ingest Quest tradition, so I'm gonna roll my d6.
I was hoping.
That's good because I've used enough that I could use
Oh.
some back.
You will get 5 AP back to a max of
Ooh.
10.
Ooh.
Because
I-
every
20
time I
MAP.
blink, it uses one.
Oh. Cool.
By bizarre happenstance, that is exactly how much I had already used. So
There you go.
It's a Halloween miracle.
All right.
So I was very, very happy that you said that. I don't think I've got anything in my powers that
Okay.
allow me to be any stealthier or whatever have.
I mean, you are invisible, so you got that going for you. Anybody else want to do anything, or you're just going to go in there and start milking that Catoblepus?
I have.
I believe
an
the last
ability
time this
called
happened in
Portal.
canon ended in a death. So you got some.
Oh my. I have an ability called Portal, where
Okay.
I can conjure a portal of any shape and orientation that is no larger than a door. It appears at a location of my choice nearby. The portal looks like a window to whatever is on the other side, and its edges crackle and spark with energy. When I cast the spell again, the new portal automatically connects to the previous one. So basically, I have like a portal gun from the video game Portal.
Okay.
And so like I want to just kind of like shoot on one of them, and so my tentacle and anyone else that wants to reach in can reach in, and then the other one is going to go under one of the catoblepuses, and then I'm going to try to start milking it very subtly.
Would you like where is the milk going to go? If you wanted, you could have a portal go to like a container in the kitchen.
Yes, I think I will do that.
Okay, so we
So
got
I
some
will
complex
have
portal
one of them.
action going on. We've
Yes.
got William invisibly milking the Catoblepus. Anybody else want Wilfred to get anything? What's he doing? Well, I mean, this is pretty strange.
So
What's
for
going
Wilfred,
on?
like he is definitely like he knows about catoblepuses, and what he knows is you stay away from them. But he's got confidence in the monsters of the house, and they have abilities that are different than his, and he's going to trust in his friends.
Okay. He hasn't been home in a while either, so there's that little bit of just enjoying maybe being in his home planet.
I'm trying to pick whichever one looks the most engrossed in Lee's video.
They are, oh boy. Yeah, I just rolled a 1 for their attention span on you guys. So they are just, if the TV could die from being stared at or the phone, it would be long dead because they're just, it transfixed by these kitty videos, as we all should be. Because
Yes.
Videos, man. That's what it's there for, isn't it?
Yeah. And it takes a little bit of time, but you do manage to, in fact, you actually like milk the one Catoblepus so much that you like move on to the next one that's there and like acquire a tremendous amount of wild Catoblepus cream, which has a bit more of a nutty flavor than the domesticated Catoblepus cream that the monks use to make death cheese.
It's great because it tastes vegan, but it's absolutely not as good for you as vegan.
There you go. And with that trial taken care of, you are back in Wilfred's room. Probably William would want to get further beyond than that, but you have got enough cream to make your
So
potatoes.
how long has it been since I've issued a howl?
It's probably been about an hour, maybe hour and a half.
All right. Well, I still think that we should keep the haste going. So once we're safely out of harm's way, I will do it again and
Sure.
keep up the speed.
Yeah. Checking that map again, it looks like you probably got about maybe 3 hours until Stingy Jack would arrive at the mansion. What are we gonna go for next? We got sugar and star anise to acquire.
How long does it take to make these things?
It takes narratively as long as it will after you get the ingredients.
Okay. That's a fair answer.
Yes, especially
Honestly.
for quests. We break the
having
fourth wall
having
here.
actually cooked them, I mean,
And Sherbert West is sort of like prepping and doing all this stuff. But in reality, they don't take long to make.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally heat the iron and just like pour bags. Like, I mean, they're real thin. It takes like a
seconds.
Oh, so it's like basically quicker waffles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like super
cool.
thin waffles.
Yeah, they're real thin.
Okay.
You've never had
Cool.
a pizza?
Like the crepes version of waffles.
Yeah, it would be like if you made a
Yes.
waffle out of a crepe. Yeah, it's like that.
And it was crunchy.
Okay, that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking, because that's what I thought we were talking about. I just wanted to be sure.
My great
Never had
grandma
a
made the
Patel.
best Patel. She had an old Farinacci Patel iron, and I know all about them. Anyways, what are we gonna shop for next?
Oh, we'll get the sugar. Bethany, dear, have you spent time at the monastery? Because I've seen the monks milk the catoblepus before, and I don't even believe they were as deft as you were with your tentacles.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Just so you know, if you're hitting on me, I'm taken. I have a lovely new boyfriend. He's a gift, and he's absolutely wonderful. He's kind, he's smart, he always brings me the best things, and he's an aspiring game show host. It's great.
Just like low key recording this gush fest so I can show him later.
No, nothing like that. I've seen this done before, and I've never seen it done so deftly. I mean, those death cows, those catoblepuses, they didn't even know they were being milked.
Is it catoblepus or catoblepi?
I think it depends
Well.
on what part of the swamp you're from.
I feel like
I-
catoblepuses is the most cursed way to say that, so that's what I'm gonna stick with.
Got a bleepuses.
I mean, I love a good Halloween mystery. Having been here now, Wilfred, I'm quite impressed your Chuck Taylors stay as nice as they do. Like, this would be difficult. I'm so glad I don't wear clothes. They would be ruined. Lee, are you all right? William, are your clothes going to be okay after this?
Oh no, I'm gonna completely burn them and get new ones.
I see. That makes sense.
I have no sense of smell, but I'll wipe my feet before I go back in. It's fine.
I believe me, just from our traipsing around, I've got quite a lot of work to do, let alone whatever is going to happen post party. But I do what the master wishes.
So, at the moment, there, Dr. West consulted the Necronom and ran some formulae and did some magic. And there is actually a colossal sugar storm raging on the elemental plane of sugar right now. If you'd like to do that,
Let's go.
So
Mhm.
I'm not quite as proficient. Is there a particular granular construct or particular types of sugar that we are looking for within this storm?
well, just pure elemental sugar. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Right, because you
This
can
is-
pretty much make anything out of that stuff.
Does anyone
Yes.
have an umbrella?
Yes, it's very dangerous. It's like abrasive, whipping around super fast. It's quite dangerous.
The umbrellas are in the closet, of course.
I'm gonna go over to the closet, open it, get in the umbrella stand. I pull out a sword first. I'm like, what? And then get an umbrella out, hand it.
Actually, as you do, there's a like skeletal arms that are just like coming out of the shadows, are like handing them to you for like out of the closet.
I
So
high five them when we're done.
when you grab this, when you see the sword, was there any other weapons that you particularly care for? There's all kinds of weaponry in there. I mean, it is Dr. Christopher's closet.
No need. I have my tendrils and my vines. But I don't think it'll come to that anyway. I'd much rather make friends than enemies.
That's fair. That's a very good outlook, actually. Like, we all should aspire to just make more friends and less enemies. That should be a t-shirt. Is someone working on that? Someone needs to make that a t-shirt. Oh, although Dr. Christopher would probably then make his friends, much like he helped Lee.
Well, I mean, to be fair, when you make your friends, you can have them be as you literally design. There's something to be said about that.
This is true.
Can't say I got any complaints.
Oh,
So I guess I'm taking us to the elemental plane of sugar then.
Yes, please.
Well,
All
actually, if you like, so the umbrellas and all those things were in the cloak room near the front entrance, and Dr. Sherbert is there with you too, and you see that he's sort of like got the Necronomicon open, and he's like mumbling something to himself, and then he gestures up at that planchette, which sort of like seems to move of its own accord onto another symbol, and he's like, I believe I can take care of that for you if you like. It should just be right out this door. And he like sort of like is arrogant, proud of himself because he got it to move. And he opens the door and almost like falls out into space. Like you just see it's outer space out there, and there's like nebulae, and you see like a Kindori, which are like a giant space whale, just like going by, not far from there, and he is just flushed and embarrassed and closes the door, and he's like, I think I miscalculated that, and he
Once more with feeling.
Yes.
I
And
love
he's
that we
sort
have a
of like-
house moving castle door in the mansion.
And then when he opens it again, it looks like it's like a canyon, sort of like how you'd imagine like that, like Utah or something, except it's just all made of chocolate. And you see like there's boulders of it and just scoring on the ground and stuff, but not far from the door. Actually, I mean, like right outside the door almost is just like maelstrom of sugar granules that's just whipping, and you see like things getting thrown about in it, and it's just sort of it's not like right by the door, but it's not far from there.
Hey, Doc, put out your arms real quick.
I most certainly will not.
Well, come on.
Dr. Christopher made me vow to stay within the mansion.
No, you don't have to leave the mansion. Just take some of this chocolate. We could probably use it.
He sort of like bends down and like runs his finger in the ground, and it's just like it's hard enough to walk on, but it looks like it just scoops up like fudge, and he's just like, I suppose I could gather some of this while you go out and chasing this fool's errand.
I mean, the pizzelles are awesome, but a little variety.
I love that you basically just told Wes the equivalent of touch grass.
I don't get it.
Oh, it's just the thing that people have been using as a burn lately. Like go outside,
Oh yeah, I get it. Yes, he's been quarantined in the mansion. And he's just sort of used to it now. He just wears his pajamas all day long. Takes a shower at like 5 in the afternoon. Maybe I'm just transferring my own life.
That's all of us. Like honestly.
So while this is happening, William, grabs a cloak from the closet, as well as, again, because we know that Dr. Christopher does all kinds of nefarious activities. There's sacks that are in this room as well.
Oh yeah. Where everything is in here, except like the stuff that's super,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, right. But you know where that is. You just don't know how to get to it.
So he'll grab a couple of sacks to make sure that we've got enough sugar, make sure that we know exactly, how much by weight we need to be able to get so that we can be able to do the recipe properly.
Nice.
I would like to contribute to this endeavor by running a simulation on my phone to figure out where the best place to stand to not get carried away, but also get sugar would be.
Yeah, you do that, and following that path You see that there's like a small spelljammery skiff in the distance that's sort of like right as close to as you might want to get to this sugar storm that's sort of like chasing it on a wild course. And it's as you get closer to it, you get closer to that little ship as well. That's sort of like rocking about, and you see like things flying off the back of it, and there's just like two humans sitting in it, like just trying to shout at each other. You can't really tell what they're saying, but they're chasing this sugar storm. The sugar chasers. But I don't. What do you guys do from there?
Well, I suppose Bethany will probably be the one to actually execute the collecting of the sugar because she's so large, she's not likely to get swooped away.
Does Bethany come here like in person? You could, if you want. It's up to you.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
She just kind of like you see this little
like
ice
swimming
stalk
through
pokes
the
out
elemental
from the fudge
chocolate
ground, looks around.
Yeah, you can sort of glide through the chocolate substance like water if you like.
We have now got a kraken in the middle of a sugar storm collecting sugar for a Halloween raid. This is so good.
So you have to understand the kraken is currently under the haste of the wolf howl, and is probably consuming chocolate as they go.
Oh yeah, she's no stranger to chocolate.
Oh yeah, you have a sugar high. So you're almost like hyper alert too, as you're sort of just like you can basically just like hold open sacks and with very quickly it's just like whoop, it's full. But the sugar is whipping around quite quickly, and you're sort of like deep into that the sugar storm, and it's whipping around so fast that it starts to like spin itself into like almost like a solid shape. And this spun sugar sort of, for lack of a better term, forms like a marshmallowy humanoid form that's pretty big. It's sort of like in the storm, and it's just trying to batter at you as you're doing it. Is there any precautions that you take? And you guys can see this, not clearly, but you see that there's just like a shadowy humanoid form that's like not as big as Bethany, but close enough to be like to wonder if it is forming in there. And you hear those sugar chasers sort of like shout. They're like, oh, there's a sighting of one, and just they're excited because they just like chasing sugar around.
I open my umbrella.
Bethany is like,
it's just like,
you're really going to make me release all my anger, aren't you?
It's just sort of like,
and she's
like
going to do last light.
Okay.
Which is basically this death laser beam coming from her eye, and it's like a destructive
okay. So
it costs 5 AP.
Okay. Does it like? I'm just gonna say it does. It like takes a second to like sort of like it's hitting this thing, and you see it like start to bore into this marshmallowy form and like get charred around the edge. And then, you guys on the outside of the storm who are just keeping up with it, you see this like beam just go like lance all the way across the sky into the distance. And then a second later, there's just like this charred, gooey, sticky mess that blows out of the thing and just is like you're just completely covered in it. It actually causes that skiff to like hit the ground and like skid out and stuff, but it was just like drenched in marshmallow, charred, burnt. Well, it's the good part. It's the side inside the char, but there's bits of that too.
Can I have a roll to see if I can pull the cloak over?
Absolutely.
Get my fur. All right.
Yes.
That is a 19.
You totally do just in time. And Wilfred, your initial umbrella had just gotten like shredded by this sand, but you did bring several of them, as I recall you guys saying. So if you want to make a roll to see if you can get another one up in time to avoid getting all your vegetation all sticky.
That's a 13.
Yeah, so you
he just keeps pulling out umbrella after umbrella, and it's he's just like pulling them out of the vegetation. You're like, I only gave you like 2 of them.
Yeah, he's had those from before as well. So you Lee
Hold my
just
hood up.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
got
like, my
you.
biggest concern is like shielding my phone because I'm recording this as it's happening, and I'm just like, remind me not to piss her off.
Yes, you're able to make a roll. See if it's pretty easy, but just in case, see if a catastrophe happens.
15.
Yeah, no problem. Yep, you get your hood up and maintain good video quality too. It's gonna be a good one.
And when you cast last light, you
yeah.
disintegrate the thing into ash, which I think is appropriate for a marshmallow creature.
Yeah.
So you've just got like flaming black marshmallow everywhere.
Oh yeah. And it's sort of like the hero shot too, because you've got all the sugar now, and the storm sort of like passes by, beyond Bethany, who's just still in the middle, and you guys, as in the aftermath of this, just see like her form and her tentacles just have like tons of bags just like overflowing with this raw elemental sugar, which you have now acquired.
And you see like one tentacle just come up and like pull a heaping flaming mound of ashy marshmallow into this hole in the chocolate, and you're like slurping and chomping.
Absolutely. Sugar.
And then she'll return with the sugar. I got enough, right?
Yeah, you have tremendous amounts of sugar.
Oh yeah, I think there's gonna be some left over. Good job, Bethany.
We had to go into the river. Then we had to go into the swamp. Then we had to go into chocolate.
Oh, that was an ocean, my friend.
What horrible hell is next for my fur?
I mean, it's also been very fun.
Sure, he just kind of like holds out his like matted fur and the cloak that's soaked in gooey marshmallow.
Oh yeah, he's covered.
It's okay, William. When we get back, we'll take you upstairs and get you in the tub, and we'll get you a nice warm bath.
No, when we get home, we've got to get the cooking done and the decorations dealt with, and make sure that everything is, superb for the party.
Well, you're gonna need to look superb for the party too, so you can let us handle the decorations and the cooking. All right.
If need be. So where do we have to find this star anise?
Back in the main hall now. Everybody regathers there, and Dr. Sherbet's there, and he explains that it's actually a star. The star Elysium is a sentient star. And just for you foodies out there, star anise is not the same as anise, which you normally would flavor pizzelles with, but we're playing a space game, so I'm going with star anise. And so he tells you he's able to manipulate that planchette to have the door open within earshot of this entity, if you like.
I will leave the cloak coated in goo outside the house.
Okay, sure.
While I step in, one less thing to clean.
Like hanging on a hook. It can get like space clean.
No. Literally left in the plane of sugar.
Oh, okay, sure. No problem. Unless so that's something he offers, but you're free to do whatever you like. But it's literally like a sentient star in space. He's like, as far as convincing this creature to give you its essence, that's on you. But I can get you there if you like.
Yeah, sounds good. That's half the job done already.
So yeah, he is able to successfully this time. It takes him a little bit, and sort of look, because like he's making sure he has his formulae just right, because he doesn't want to be embarrassed or F it up. And so time is kind of running a little slim, but it's not long, and he sort of gets this, he gets the setting right, and there is just like a huge star-shaped star, sort of like it looks like a flower. It's not spherical. That is sort of just spinning slowly in space, and you're not really sure if it's like it could be close and it's not that big, or maybe it's far away and it's huge, but for whatever reason, it's in sight from the threshold of the door, which just is open. Like if you stepped out, you'd just be floating in space.
All right.
Which is not unusual for the players, but maybe the creatures in the house.
One of the things that, Doug, I enjoy doing is to somewhat, warp and twist, or however you want to call it. But I like to use the powers in ways that might not necessarily be intended. So I am going to invoke another wild aspect, this time the eagle.
Okay.
The eagle eye vision for the next minute. You can see anything in your line of sight clearly, even if it's far away. You can detect far away movement that would be imperceptible to a normal person. But I want to kind of use this as an insight when we go to have a conversation with this thing.
Okay.
And see if there's any kind of subtle things that I might be able to notice during the conversation.
You can see even from here that it has like a little uwu face in the middle of the star field.
Oh, I hate it.
For whatever. Oh, really? I thought you guys would like that. I don't even know what it means.
Oh no, okay, so you know how people groan at puns but aren't actually that angry about puns? That's how I am with the uwu face.
Oh, okay.
It's a joke that I hate it.
Okay, I got you.
Only reason I know what it is because someone used it in the chat today and I looked it up.
That's why I saw it. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll work that in.
Was it Lindsay?
Yes.
Did Lindsay do that? Oh my God. Oh my God, Lindsay.
But yeah, it's in sight. You could try to do whatever you like. You could try to maneuver for space, call out from here, contact it telepathically, send a pigeon.
Looks adorable, and I start waving my
you
hands.
see that it does sort of like blink a little bit, like just seems to be reacting to you by just like twinkling a little bit. And Ted, you can see that the little ooh face even gets a little broader and maybe like blushes, like, oh, somebody's paying attention to me.
It noticed me.
So I will too. Will call out, hello. Might we have a word?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, we are.
Well, certainly, I don't really get too many visitors out here just out here. Where are you? Sort of like looking around, because then you would just be like a little doorway in space, like far away.
Are we able to move out and approach? Or can we move the doorway closer? I don't know.
You've never been outside of the house since you were a werewolf from the Vodani Empire in your past, and then you
I
here.
Left the house to go to the Plain of Sugar.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I guess that was more like a place you could see. I guess you would know that you wouldn't have air and stuff like that because it's like the Spelljammer thing.
Sure.
I will go back into the house and grab a lantern.
Okay.
And I'll take the cover off the lantern and hold it up, and then get my Axe body spray, and I'll do some like quick spurts of it on the open flame in order to make it flare up.
Oh, sure.
And then start calling over here.
It's like, oh, it's like a little baby star twinkling in the night. It's like I've never seen a star form, and this is pretty interesting.
Well, we're not really a star, but we don't shine anywhere near as brightly as you. We are.
Oh, you see it kind of blush.
We are kind of in desperate need, and I'll go into the a quick story of the butler. This is my master's house, and we are in dire need. There are people on their way, and if we are unable to get all of the things that we need, then my master's reputation will be at stake, and that would look poorly upon myself being the butler of the house.
Make a roll. Anybody else doing anything to gain this thing's sympathies or plead your case?
17.
I'm going to ask to take a picture.
It's like, oh, well, I don't see why not. Can you get my whole my form in one frame?
And I'm gonna like pull the phone out, because we're pretty far back. Yeah, like.
Yeah, you get the sense that it's like it's not as big as the sun or anything, but it's like it's a big as like I don't know. I can't think of it. It's like about a moon size. So it's like still pretty big, but it's not like,
Like I can definitely get your whole thing in the frame, and if you'd like, I can bring you a print later.
Well, I don't know what I'd do with it, but that sounds terrific.
So,
Have you ever been to a Halloween party?
I've never been anywhere but here. I sort of Stardust just collected many millions of years ago, and
Well, would you like
Here I
to come
am.
to one? We're going to have a celebrity there and everything.
well, you already have one star there. Do you need another one?
Well, they're a celebrity. You're a star.
There's a difference.
And
Where is it?
you can never have too many.
You make a roll for yourself too. You're swaying this thing, but it's a strange request.
That's a 9.
Technically,
Oh, go ahead.
technically the party's in the house, but we can leave the door open and have people like filter back and forth and like, spread the party out a little bit. We can like bring it to you.
I think you had said that no one has ever come to visit you before.
No, I just sort of illuminate the night sky, provide life for planets around, and once in a while I release my essence out into the universe to bring a bit of bitter licoricey flavor to things.
So is a 9 a success with a tough choice?
Yeah. So I'd say your tough choice is that.
Can I offer something up?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Please. Yeah.
I will also give you something to wear to the party. And I take off my Chuck Taylors.
Oh.
You can't just get these anywhere.
You see that Elysium, so it looks like it's moving towards you, but also shrinking. And within a moment, it's sort of like about relative humanoid size. And you can put them on 2 of the little points of its, because it's like a 5-pointed star. And it seems sort of awkward. And it's like poking its head in the house. It doesn't really move its arms or anything, but it's just sort of like moving in space as like a 3D object. It's like, you said you serve a master of the house. Is he sure it's okay to have uninvited guests? But it looks pretty nice in there.
Oh, I promise you, if he were here, he'd invite you.
And it sort of like gingerly puts one red Chuck Taylor inside the door, and then it kind of like leans one of its little arms, for lack of a better term, out towards like Wilfred, because it's just different thing. So like sort of guide it or lean on or escort. You're like its date in a sense. So it's like kind of trying, you help it. Do you help it in? It's not giving off heat. It's just like really, just a shining bright star-shaped 3D object with red Chuck Taylors on.
Halloween star.
William would absolutely help it in, he would offer. You had said that you give your essence to, help the world be, a little bit more licoricey.
Yes.
Well, that is actually what we are in desperate need of. And if it would require, I could come and visit you, or you could come visit us here as often as you would.
That'd be lovely. This is the nicest thing you're the only people I've ever really met, to be honest with you. Got a pretty good impression so far. I'd love to help with your party, and sort of like looking around at the decorations that you'd started, and it's like, ooh, spooky. she's like, it wasn't too long ago when the monster parade just passed by my quadrant of crystal sphere verse. She's like, are they? It's like, oh, are they coming here? Are you in?
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is quite an exciting night. And Dr. Herbert's like, yes, and if we don't get those pizzelles made, it's going to be a disaster. He's like, if you don't mind, Elysium, we could use your help in the kitchen. And she kind of blushes, but yeah, it'll answer your request. Absolutely. You get pure star anise juice.
All right, now Alexa, play Panic at the Disco. And like in my mind, Alexa is the name of a skeleton that has like strings going down its torso and like a bow, and is actually going to be like playing rather than like the electronic version.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you guys have got all your ingredients in vast supply. All the prep work's been done. And you're gonna, these people are gonna be arriving. What do you guys do in the meantime? Like, you got about a half an hour.
Well, if the power is run out again, I will totally howl for a third time, getting
Sure.
everyone to move quicker. But I'll get myself cleaned up, get a new uniform on, assist with decorations, and make sure that we've got drinks and plates and cups and all kinds of things. Sweep up, clean up any of the water carted through the house one way or the other from one aquatic destination to the other.
Sure.
So that the house is as presentable as possible. I'll make sure that I'll go and put fresh dust on all the chairs.
Are you guys, were you setting up the main sort of thing in the ballroom? I think somebody mentioned that earlier.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that is. So is anybody wearing any costumes? It's a Halloween party.
I'm gonna pull out
With that haste, you have plenty of time, and it's like production line in the kitchen, like with the skeletons, and Sherbert West is sort of like, because he's trained in being a chef and running a kitchen too, and he has them like stirring the batter, making pizzelles, like firing them, and they're just like stacking up one after the other. So, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I don't know where I found it, but I have a skeleton costume.
Okay.
That I'm gonna pull out, and it's literally one of the ones that came in a box from the 80s when you were a kid, and it's literally you're just wearing this like vinyl jumpsuit that's got paint on it and a plastic mask with a with an elastic band around the back.
Absolutely. And there's just like vegetation sticking out of it otherwise.
My Halloween costume is built. My Halloween costume is built in. I'm going as the Invisible Man.
Oh, okay.
Lee is going as Serafina.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Whoa! Does that mean it's the same universe?
This is not the first reference that we've made between
that's
two
true.
of them.
Bethany is going to wear this like curly blonde old lady's hairstyle wig.
Oh, that's
and
adorable.
a nice little scarf tied around one of her eye stalks that has the wig on. And then she's also going to have like one tentacle that has like a book, and it's like a mystery book. And then she's gonna have another that has like a pen. And she's going to go to Lee and be like, all right, so my character is that I'm an author, but I'm also a murder mystery detective. And I go around reminding the police that they're incredibly inept.
I love it.
Got a backstory and everything. So layered.
Take a picture.
And one of the traditions in this universe is that there's a Halloween tree, which is sort of like a Christmas tree, but it's just black and has like, webs between them and everything. And for part of it, Elysium will be the tapper if you like. Can just like float up there. But they'll participate with the party too. And you guys are feeling pretty good, and it's and eventually you hear like that, like an ominous knock on the door, just like when you're all feeling pretty good about things and ready. What do you do?
Throw open the door and yell surprise, and invite them in.
Sure. You actually do. Like the first person line is just like human man, that just like scraggly, filthy. He's got like ragged clothes, holding this turnip. It's Stingy Jack, just got like rotten teeth and everything.
I got a silver tray with just cubes of fudge on it.
And it's like at first his face just like twists up and recoils because it's just like, yeah, like people having a good time. But with the roll I just made and all the things that you guys have done to prepare, now have you like set up this party in the barn? But it's like much of the house also just like decorated.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys make it like a Roseanne style Halloween where it's like the house is like, it's like a haunted house? Or Simpsons or whatever, like I guess it is a haunted house. So just people
I think it would be completely
like that anyway.
We didn't really have to do a whole lot.
Yeah. So yeah, you see that there is like, behind Stingy Jack, a large procession of just all sorts of monsters, vampires, and other patchwork people. You see a family of mummies. There's the mummy, the daddy, and 2 little kids that are very excited to be there. And as you sort of like lead them through the place, like they just pop out, and it sounded like from what Dave was saying, there's just like snacks and things all over the place as well, fudge, which people are digging. What's the vibe in the ballroom for like the main party?
We've got a live orchestra playing. I don't know where they came from. Playing Monster Mash.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a buzz with activity. There's there's a dance floor. There's plenty of snacks and drinks. There's areas for people to just socialize and have a grand old time.
And as you guys are all doing that, you are just get caught up in the party. And there's just all sorts of people coming and going. Excuse me. You notice that Stingy Jack is not there after a while. Like he did come in and stuff, but he is no longer in the ballroom.
I want to go take a look at the map on the wall.
Oh, okay. You see that he is.
That's not relevant to anything.
Well, I guess it would be just on top of the house still. On top of the icon of Dr. Christopher's map.
Okay, so he's still here somewhere.
Let's try to find him.
I wonder if he's in the study. I mean, that's where all of this started, right?
Well, that's where.
That's where.
Can I get on my phone and access the cameras in the house? I'm sure we don't have security cameras, but I know that there's computers in some rooms and probably
they're like crystal balls and stuff.
Yeah. So can I pull up the feed for that and see if I can find him that way?
You do poke around a bit and you see that he is in the library, which is not far from but not directly attached.
It's just grab a tray, fill it up with snacks, head in that direction. We're gonna bring the party to him.
Yeah, I think we all converge on him.
Sure. He's actually in the library, just going, pulling books down and looking kind of just looking. It looks like he's just robbing the place, basically. He's not, you sort of just see him mid, he's just sticking silverware and anything that looks expensive in his pockets.
Oh, that just won't do.
And he just sort of growls at you over his shoulder.
What are you so upset about, man?
I'm not. I love my own life. I go anywhere I want, take what I want, and they can't keep me in heaven or hell. It's great. Suckers like you invite me in.
Are you sure about that? Because you don't really look so content. You look kind of
Grouchy.
mangy, actually.
Well, I usually get like that when I talk to other people.
Why?
Maybe you need to
'Cause I
talk to
don't
better
like them
people.
and they don't like me.
Yeah, but why though? And I'm gonna like hold out the tray and be like, eat some of this. Sit down and talk to us.
And he just sort of like grabs it all and like eats one and just sticks the rest in his pocket. He's like, hey, you got anything else you want to give me? He's like, look, you can throw me out, you can kill me, but I'll still just come back next year.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, we'd have done a pretty terrible job if you didn't.
You mean you want me to come back?
Yeah, and I'm like looking at everybody else like,
You brought the party with you.
They're just people that started following me. They do every year.
yeah, and it's a pretty banging good time.
The fun is far more enjoyable than the things.
And we clearly have the best treats.
It looks like
on
he actually
this side
just
of the
like
galaxy.
when you say that, Evans looks like just bewildered, like that's absurd. Like, yeah. The fun is the things.
Except you don't care about them. You just want to have them.
Well, yeah.
Why?
Are you
What
trying to fill a void? There's probably not enough stuff to fill that void.
I don't know. Space is pretty big.
Hmm.
Well, I didn't catch what you had said, Stephen. I was talking over you.
Oh, I just said we have the best treats this side of the galaxy.
They're pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's the best stop on the whole route.
So why do you look the most sad here of all places?
I don't know. Yes. I can't really. I don't know.
Have you tried actually enjoying yourself with the others?
Most people don't want me around
Oh, we do.
Why would they follow you if they don't want to be around you?
because they just want the scraps from what I don't take.
Clearly not. They're out having a grand old time.
He sort of was like, yeah, sure they are.
Would you like proof?
He's sort of like incredulous. It's like, okay, sure, show me.
Just fling it onto the screen.
We'll lead him to the ballroom
Okay.
and show him, the people dancing, drinking, eating. Look at their faces. They're not even aware of your presence, and they're having a grand old time.
And when we go by some of them, I want to like pointedly like find someone that looks like they're having a lot of fun and ask them why they followed Stingy Jack here.
They're
Hey,
like,
you
"Oh,
good
it's
fella! Why'd you
Um,
follow this guy here?
Sure, it's like a creature from the Black Lagoon sort of thing. And he's just like, we do every year. He's like, it's just fun. We all get dressed up, or I guess we don't really have to get dressed up, but just travel around. People give us candy. Sometimes they even invite us into parties like this.
Oh, you could get dressed. I reach into my vegetation and pull out a bow tie and begin tying it around his neck. It's red,
Jax
like
or the lagoon creature.
the lagoon creature.
He's like sort of like, hey, look at me, I'm a human. He's like, I'm dressed up like a nerd this year. Or actually sees William, he's like, oh, I'm dressed up like him, and just it's just generally like all the other
Yeah.
people nearby are just like and just like partying and stuff.
So I'm gonna
And
like
that-
lean over to Stingy Jack, right? And I'm
Mhm.
gonna be like, you know what would be really funny?
What's that?
If you dressed up like the devil.
That would be pretty funny. That old son of a bitch.
Come on, I can hook you up.
All right, I got eternity. What's one night? I'll give it a shot.
I'm gonna like
And-
go and like do the face makeup and like the horns and the tail and the works.
Sure, and yeah, you do a fantastic job. It looks like the old scratch that you know, and it's a big hit with the other creatures assembled in the thing. You see, like when you go back in later in the night, like, you know, the mummies are like somebody pinned one of their ribbons to the ground and they're like slowly unraveling and just, you know, people are getting a little, you know, tipsy and whatnot. And you know, there's some slow dance times as well. You know, people are anybody care to do anything special there? At this point, like later in the night, like Elysium's just kind of tipsy, and you see them just like kind of like spinning around on the ground, and you know, like on their points of their thing, and people are getting a kick out of that.
So William would totally ask Elysium to dance.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, it doesn't bend or anything, so you're kind of like awkwardly do it, but it's not burning you or anything. And you have a nice there's one of those little I forget what they're called, but it's like it spins and it's got a light inside to make like weird shadows on the wall and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, yeah,
They're just like lanterns, I think, with the cutouts.
Oh, yeah, and that's like the big, you know, final dance of the night. There's just like that sort of creepy motif, and it looks like just a skeleton dance macabre sort of on the wall. And yeah, if there's not anything else to do, the night would just sort of wind down as people would leave.
Bethany will take the little like the titular required snacks and be passing them out and make like the extras in little bags to go that say trick or treat and stuff like that.
Oh,
just playing hostess.
Sure. Yeah, and in the aftermath party, like, you know, people have kind of come and gone. William, you're cleaning up, and you see that there's Stingy Jack's turnip was left behind. You didn't really notice him leave, but the ember inside is actually out, and I just kind of left it behind and just left on like a side table in the ballroom. But it is quite a mess, and you are sort of just like in the wee hours of the morning, and you see that planchette move by itself. And you know that's the one that it hits when like Dr. Christopher's on his way. As you look around, the house is just a disaster of, you know, not just, I mean, it's not ruined, but it's just like there's cups, plates, food, and just like slime trails and, you know.
We're gonna make like teenagers in any good movie and begin trying to clean everything up. And
right?
Probably like we're just shoving it in the frog human's crevice or something.
I've got the point, so I will howl again and clean like the wind.
I legitimately at one point opened my entire head and just like shove a garbage bag down in there.
I do have one more. I have just enough points to do one more thing. I would like to do Dark Door.
Okay.
And so we know I can make a portal to a plane that I know exists. And so I will pick that monastery that we didn't go to. And I'm going to make a big portal in the floor, and we can just shove all the garbage into it. And dump it in the
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah. And just as it's like, is like the door opens, you see Christopher and Sirkas and Orlu and Ularn come in, and you can see the deck of Arlash behind them, and like Dr. Sherbus just sort of like sitting there at the library reading his book like he normally does, and you guys are all sort of like gathered, you know, in the wherever that was, like, you know, in the big foyer, and they're like, you know, Dr. Christopher's just like, oh, it's like, what are you all doing out? Do you have a you know, he's just like, what are y'all doing up?
So one final thing, I think everything was cleaned up except for the turnip is still sitting there.
Yes.
We forgot. We forgot to get rid of it.
I was going to say the same thing.
Wow, good call. Yes. Yeah, he sort of like picks it up and looks at it. He's just like, I don't remember acquiring the Lantern of Stingy Jack. And he like looks at Sirkas like, was this on one of our quests? He's like, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, William, put this in the study, would you?
Hey, Doc.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, is it that time of year?
Yeah, that's why we're up. We're waiting for you so we can say Happy Halloween.
Oh, well, thank you. And he produces a bunch of those pink cupcakes that he's famous for from the inside his jacket. And he's like, well, I think that's worthy. I wouldn't want you all to trick me now.
I'll come back from the kitchen with some pizzelles for each of the characters.
Let's see. They are. Is this something? Now, keep in mind, this is important to me, Doug, personally. You guys made this with super exotic ingredients. Very much. Is this something fantastic that Orlu has never tasted before?
Possible.
Well, if it is, then boom! I fulfilled all your dreams with this one adventure. You talked to a star. You had the best tasting thing. And I forgot what Dr. Christopher's dream was, but whatever it was fulfilled in this, and Ularn didn't care. And that is the wrap up of Ingest Quest Tricks and Treats Halloween special.
Woo! Yeah.
That was so good. Thank you so much, Doug.
Oh, really? Okay.
Thank you
For playing.
Rock.
And thanks for the people hanging out and watching. As always, we always love having you here. And tomorrow, actually not tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be back on this channel with another awesome guest. And until then, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.